Yeah, buddy, we're back. Dragging in the afternoon. It's almost time to get out of here. Coming upon that 4 o'clock time. Don't see no GJs yet, so we're gonna talk until we start seeing their ass.
Exactly, until they start staring at us.
Yeah, they do. They stare at us like the pugs, man. They're like, they got their hand on the mixing board and everything. Like
you remember when the Geos came out?
Oh yeah.
And they had the Metro and the Storm, the Tracker, and all that shit.
Yeah.
Then they had that little fancy GSI Storm that had the bigger motor in it and all that shit.
My uncle had one of those. It had a supercharger on it.
Well, Friendly Chevrolet up in Springfield, they had a couple of them that they put coilovers on and put graphics down the sides of them, aftermarket wheels on them and shit, sold them.
Yeah.
Well, this guy had this yellow and black one.
Mm-hmm.
It was yellow on the bottom, black on the top, with some graphics down the side. I'm in my buddy's 70 GTO Judge, Ram Air 400. It's got a cam and stuff in it. It's a pretty healthy car.
Yeah.
And we're going down the highway, and we're running like 65 down the highway. This was back when it was still 55, so I'm dating myself. It was right when the Geos came out. Well, that was like in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And this little yellow Geo comes ripping up next to us in like third gear. And I just kind of looked over, and this guy's all looking over, and his girlfriend's looking over, and she's kind of hot. So he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, okay. And the guy that owned the car's in the passenger seat because he didn't like to drive. He's like, get on a little bit. So I motioned for him to go, and he's like, whoa. And I'm just like, whoa, just keeping up with him. He gets up to about 90. And I'm still next to him, just watching him the whole time, And I'm like, okay, he's in fourth gear now. And he's like, I motioned for him to go again. So I motioned for him to go again. He grabs another gear, and he overrode the shit out of it this time. Because he put it back down third again, I swear to God.
You can hear the rev limiter fucking pinging.
Back into fourth, and here he goes, trying to take off. And I just sitting there next to him, watching him. We're up to about 100, 110. And I said, I'm done. I looked over. I waved at his girlfriend and blew her a kiss and just stomped that fucking GTO to the floor.
It's like, see ya.
That's the first time I heard the carburetor open up. Racing him.
That's funny.
It just drove away from me.
By chance, did this yellow GSI, did it have graphics on the side that were kind of like checkered flag?
Kind of, yeah. They were kind of like a checkered flag with like tails coming off it that were like different colors.
Yeah. We raced that guy. My buddy. Okay, so we're in Chicago on the Navy Pier, so it's got to be the same fucking guy because he's got some shit done to that Geo, right?
Yeah, it sounded good.
And when you said it, his buddy drives it, and the owner doesn't really drive it much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. So my buddy had, you know who this guy is. He's the one who's got that Beretta that's in, fuck, I'll think of it in a minute, what car club it is. It was like the world's fastest fucking Beretta. It's out of Columbia, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this thing is like fucking nuts. It's like a Beretta. It wasn't a GT. No, it was a GTU. It wasn't a GTZ.
Uh-huh.
So the ground effects were different. It was like the first Beretta performance one they come out with.
Uh-huh.
Big dick V6, kind of built like a Typhoon, right?
Uh-huh.
It had a transmission out of a Monte Carlo in it.
Oh, so it's automatic?
Yeah. But it had like some fucking 3200 fucking stall converter. I mean, this motor was like stroked out. So we were up on the Navy Pier and we were cruising, and I mean, this was a long time ago. And I remember he raced a guy with a yellow, and it seemed like he was from Springfield or in that Champaign area or something. And he said that thing, he goes for a Geo Storm or Geo Track or whatever the fuck it is, GSI.
GSI Storm, yeah.
He said that fucking thing was fast. I was like, yeah, my uncle had one with a supercharger on it. And I don't know I never got close to see what he had done to it.
Right.
But they went out and raced, and yeah, he said that fucking thing's fast as fuck. And but I'll tell you another story about Chicago. Do you remember the Geo Prisms? Little egg-shaped looking fucking thing?
Yep.
So years ago, Izzy was going to the NSGA trade show because I was a professional inline skater, you know, and I was going to the big sporting good trade show, right?
Right.
And I'm in Chicago. It's like right before 6 o'clock in the morning, people's going to work. I'm doing 90, right?
Yep.
And a Geo Prism fucking passed me like I was standing still. I don't know.
You're like, wow.
It wasn't like it was tricked out. It was stock. And I like to know what the fuck fuel they were running in this motherfucker. Because he kept flashing his lights. And I'm like, what the fuck is that egg-looking thing behind me? And it just like, fucking just passed me. And I looked down and I'm like, dude, I'm doing like fucking 90. Like, you know. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what I was driving an S10 and what is it, 96 miles an hour. It fucking, the limiter fucking kicks in and out. And so I was like, dude, I'm doing like fucking 90 in this fucking Geo Prism. Just drove right around me like I was standing still. And it wasn't tricked out, people. It was, but he must have had something to turn the governor off. That's all I know. Because he had to have been doing about 120 or something. You know what I'm saying? And it was fucking, unless that was an ultimate sleeper in Chi-Town that I didn't know about. But I was like, what the fuck? I just got passed by a Geo. And of course, I'm telling my friends about it. And they're like, oh, was it a GSI? And I'm like, no, it was like a fucking Prism. Like the egg shape looking. It looked like, what was the Focus before it was a Focus?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's like that.
Tempo.
It's like that egg shaped looking thing. You know what I'm saying?
Like a Tempo.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? It's like it's not cool enough to be a Honda.
Well, one of the first shops I ever worked at, my buddy came in, and he had a Beretta GT that he bought brand new in high school.
Yeah, those things were fucking nice.
He blew the motor up. It was 5-speed and everything, but the body was immaculate. The interior was immaculate. And he's like, I want to put a fast motor in it. And I was talking to my boss, and I said, we got that wrecked Buick out there with the 3800 supercharged in it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. He's like, but the tranny won't work. I said, well, why won't the tranny work? It bolts up. He said, well, the input shaft isn't long enough.
And cut that bitch down.
I said, well, why don't we get a longer input shaft and put in it?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'd have one made, but yeah, we could do that. So this thing was a Beretta GT with a supercharged 3800, 3.8, with a 5-speed.
Okay.
And it looked bone stock. But we changed the pulley on the supercharger, so it had a little more boost than it's supposed to have. And this little car would fucking shit and get.
Oh, I bet it would. Front wheel drive, fucking.
Oh, and everybody just thought it was a stock little Beretta, and then it just eats your ass.
Oh man, I know what you're talking about.
Because I mean, the little Buicks were fast, and this thing was light.
Oh
compared to a big old Buick. Because it came out of like a Park Avenue, you know.
Oh yeah, so it's used to pulling weight. Now it's got light.
Yeah, now it's pulling shit, you know. And it's a 5-speed. Oh fuck.
Now I got a good one for you. See if you remember this. You remember back in the Pro Street days, there was a motherfucker running around the Granite City area that had a Beretta that was front wheel drive, but it was tubbed out.
I think I remember that car.
Had a Pro Stock hood on it. That was me. Dude, so here's the story about my Beretta, right? I bought this car from somebody, and I'm like, I'm just going to drive it back and forth to work. So I go over to my dad's shop, and they've got one of those, you know, Pro Stock fucking hood scoops, right? And he set it on my car, and he goes, this thing would be badass if you would fucking build it. And I'm like, that looks pretty cool. But it looks stupid because the car's on stock wheels. Now, mind you, this thing wasn't a Beretta GTU. It wasn't a Beretta GTZ. It was a fucking 4-cylinder Beretta. It wasn't even the V6 one. It was fucking automatic. So, go to a junkyard, and there was a wrecked Beretta that got, was it a Beretta or a Corsica? I think it was a Corsica, because the hoods are interchangeable. Anyway, this fucking thing was wrecked in the back, and I bought the hood for like $10, right? So I go to the body shop. We fucking mold this scoop on, and I put it on the car, and I'm feeling dorky as fuck. So I drove over to my dad's shop. They made fun of it. And I'm like, why are you making fun of me? You're the one who fucking told me to do this. So there was a guy, and I know you've heard this name, Larry Davis, raced for Harley Davidson. And all of his badass drag cars, my dad built all those motors.
Okay.
So Larry's like, swing by my shop tomorrow. I got some stuff I'm going to give you.
Okay.
For the Beretta. And he goes, I got an idea. I'm gonna hook you up. And Larry's just fucking crazy, right? You know? So I go by his shop, and he rolls out these big ass steamrollers on some fucking sprint car tires. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with those? I can't even put them in the car. That's how big these tires are, right?
Yep.
I can't even get them in the front seat or whatever. And he goes, dude, I got a trailer axle. Let's cut this down. So we fucking jack up my car and tub this motherfucker out in his garage. The brake lines, we just vice gripped them off, you know.
Fuck it.
And he had some Proline wheels for the front. They were like 3 inches wide.
Oh, shit.
But they bolted up. But it's front wheel drive.
Yeah.
So he had some plastic, and we made like a backing plate so you can't see the rotors, right? So we pro street my Beretta, right, with this pro stock hood, right? Mind you, it didn't take us long to do it, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we finished about 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this bitch is square, right? So I drive it home.
Nothing red, so you're good.
You know, we kind of tack welded some tubs in it, you know, like, we were amazed that we had the back seat folded. We folded it forward and cut everything out, and it went back into place, you know? I didn't give a fuck, people, about this car. It was just a piece of shit to drive back and forth to work.
Right.
So I drive it to work, and everybody's like, holy shit. Now, mind you, when we went to tub this out, we cut the exhaust. At low RPMs, we end up just, Larry had a fucking, he had a cherry bomb, and he had a muffler off one of these race bikes. And we kind of welded it together. At pretty low RPM, man, this thing sounded pissed off, right? It didn't sound like no fucking 4-cylinder.
Right.
So we're sitting there, and Terry Baker, I worked for his body shop, TJ's Auto Body. He goes, I got something I'm going to contribute to this, right? And I'm like, what? He's got a set of wheelie bars. So he has a set of wheelie bars and a cracked rear bumper, like a ground effect bumper, a full bumper, right? We cut the license plate out and fucking, you know, of course, you know, we just weld some bars and welded the fucking wheelie bars. So now this thing is like pro streeted out. It looks legit. Okay. So I'm like, man, I need to get like a front bumper and some side skirts, and I'll be looking good, right?
Right.
So there was some customer who was like, hey, this junkyard has it, blah, 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 blah. So I drive into town, right? And the next day I'm going to go to the junkyard. Biggest shit, there's a fucking Mustang. And he's wanting to race. I'm not wanting to race. I mean, dude, I got 3 inches of fucking tire in the front. Like, I'm not going to go fast.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I can get this thing up to 55 because the tires, you know, there ain't no grip.
Right.
So that night, I had that Blazer with the target top in it, with the black with the scallops on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I go uptown. I don't take the Beretta that night, right? Because I already know what's gonna. Everybody at the car wash talking about this fucking Beretta, right? And I'm not saying I know who owns it, or I'm not even claiming nothing of it. So the Beretta's at the house, parked in the garage. And the next day I'm gonna go to this junkyard, and this guy says there's ground effects and a couple wrecked fucking Berettas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I done got the pro stock fucking hood. You know, I look like fucking Levi from fucking NHRA. You know, that's what this thing. You know, all it needs to be is white and yellow, right? Say Levi
Right.
Garrett on the side, right? So I go to the junk. You know, everybody's talking about it. I'm like, yeah, man, I hear that thing's fast. You know, like, man, who the fuck is it? You know, it's got tinted fucking windows. You know. So the next day I go to the junkyard. Of course, I'm driving the Blazer, right?
Right.
And lo and behold, that guy was right. There was a couple fucking Berettas that were wrecked, but there was enough pieces to do a good ground effect kit. You know what I'm saying? The side skirts
Right.
and just so happened these were aftermarket pieces. And so it's the like Truckarosa one where it's got the little lines in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man, I could shave those lines out and reglass it, and it looked kind of more like an import body kit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to the house, work on this for a couple of days. We figured out we got the ground effects on it, but it wasn't low enough for me. So, of course, you know, we kind of cut the spring in the front and the back and kind of got the stance, right? Now we got a good 2-inch stance, right? You know, to the ground effect.
Right.
So I drive this motherfucker into the body shop on Monday. Terry's like, dude, we can't have this thing driving around looking the way it does. It's like 10 different colors. So we stayed after work and we painted this, and this motherfucker looked like it was ready for fucking the Power Tour or the NHRA fucking Pro Stock Series.
Right.
My dad comes down to the body shop the next day and we're cutting and buffing it. And he's like, man, you know, this thing, it looks right. It feels right. It ain't right. But you got to do something about that shifter. And I'm like, it's an automatic. He goes, I got an idea. So he goes back to his house. He's got to sell lightning rods with the fourth stick, right?
Right.
Him and Tim Pons rigged the fuck out of this thing so it worked.
Jesus.
And so something that I did with Larry Davis back in the day, he had a 68 Camaro that was banned from the track. He didn't have a cage. I built him a PVC roll cage. So we fired up the torpedo heater, bent the fucking PVC pipe. So we built us a fucking fucking full-blown cage, right? Mind you, it's not a Z car or anything, so it don't have it has a solid fucking, it don't have a sunroof in it, right?
Right.
I get all this padding and zip tied the padding to it. When you started this thing up, it sounded like it had some badass motor.
Right.
So now this is through the week. We got this thing just the way we went. We went uptown cruising it with the windows down. Everybody's like, it's fucking Izzy. Next thing it probably has one of his dad's badass race motors in it. Everybody wanted to see underneath the hood. And I'm like, nope, I'm not opening the hood. There's no hood pins.
Hell no, I ain't over the hood.
Yeah, everybody's like, there's no hood pins. And I'm like, yeah, because the front end comes off in one piece. No, it didn't. It had a whole fucking thing to open the hood. So, yeah, man, we fucked with people, man. Everywhere. I went to Indy Truck Bash in this motherfucking thing. Everybody thought it was some badass fucking pro stock, pro street car, and it was a front wheel drive fucking Beretta. And I know
Well, it used to be.
Yeah, I know where the car is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know where it is. The transmission went out in it. And you know, it's a Beretta. You got to drop the whole thing like a Civic. Well, we ain't got time for that shit. So, I still own it. And it is sitting in storage. And last time I pulled the car cover off of it, it was getting quite a bit of rust on it and a lot of cracking from the Bondo we used. So I don't think I'll ever sell the car, but everybody's heard this story in the Midwest about this badass Pro Street car, but come find out it was fake. It was just a front-wheel drive car.
There was a guy in Springfield that had I think it was a Dodge minivan.
Oh, yeah?
The front-wheel drive ones. And it was front-wheel drive, had the stock motor in it, 4-cylinder motor in it. But then he took and put a different rear end under the ass of it.
Yeah.
He put like a 4.9-inch under the ass of it. Mid-mounted a fucking small block Chrysler motor in it. Right there in the center of the van.
Okay, I think I've
with a
seen
radiator
this.
and everything. And he would actually drive it around with a 4-cylinder. Then he had this badass fucking it was like a 440, I think he had it or something. It wasn't a small block. It was like a 440, but it wasn't like a Hemi or nothing. But it was all cammed up and everything. Well, he'd get somewhere. He'd pull in with an automatic fucking, in the little 4-cylinder automatic, and it'd sound like shit because he had this little side exit exhaust going right under the passenger door.
Did this guy used to take this thing up to like some of the cruise nights up at Dairy Queen?
Yes.
Yeah, I seen this thing. Yeah.
And he would fire that son of a bitch up for somebody, and they'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, he'd have the sliding door open so you can see the motor.
Yep.
Like you could be driving and reach back and adjust the carburetor. I mean,
Yep.
Like, could you imagine driving that on a hot day and how hot it would be in it?
God. Well, the radiator was right there behind the fucking front seats.
Yeah, I mean,
You know that had to have all kinds of air come off of it.
I mean, what if a fucking radiator line busted? You know, it's like
right to the back of the head.
yeah, we don't think about this shit when we're younger. You know.
No.
You know, it's just like we called it the spoof Beretta. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
and you know, dude, we even had a fucking Pro Stock wing on the back of it and everything. Like fucking, if you would have walked up in Kmart's parking lot, you'd be like, "Who in the fuck drove this thing up here?"
What the fuck is this?
But when I got on the highway, oh, it didn't sound the same. It didn't have that cool sound. It was an ungodly fucking sound, and it was loud as fuck. You know, and so, but yeah, I still have that car, and so many people's wanted to buy it, but the transmission went on in it. We fixed it once, and then something else. Oh, I'll tell you what went out in it. The goddamn not the timing belt, the fucking water pump. And on that car, you got damn near pull the motor to get to the fucking water pump.
Mm-hmm. It's all behind the timing belt and all
Yeah.
that shit.
And so I was just like, fucking, we just parked it, and it was what it was. But yeah, that
Did
thing.
it later, and later never came.
Yeah, I mean, it every night. Well, I wouldn't say every now and then, but throughout the years, you know, it would be, we would pull it out, wash it off, and people would see it sitting outside. They're like, "Holy shit, look at that!" I'm like, "Yeah, that's some straight fucking '90s Pro Street right there."
Mm-hmm.
Literally. And but yeah, if you got on it, man, those front wheels were like like fucking, they weren't going nowhere, you know. I'm surprised the damn thing would pull with those big ass Indy car, or they were sprint car tires, is what they were.
Mm-hmm. That's what I had on my Pro Street Mustang. That I
Yeah,
had.
they weren't the little, you know, one side's little. It was the big side,
Mm-hmm.
the big steamroller side. So yeah. But on that note, guys, these DJs are looking at us.
Yeah, they're looking at us funny again.
Because, man, we could talk car stories all day. So you guys have a good Monday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
See ya.